Hey there and welcome. Have you ever noticed those little quirks in English that you just know how to say them, but you've never really stopped to think about why? Today, we are diving into one of my absolute favorites, the mystery of the ED ending. It looks so simple, but trust me, there's a really cool system hiding right there in plain sight. Okay, let's just jump right in. I want you to say these three words out loud with me. Ready? Wanted, helped, called. Did you hear that? That little ed on the end makes three totally different sounds. One sounds like id, another sounds like a t, and the last one sounds like a d. So what is going on here, and how do we all just instinctively know which sound to make? Well, that's the puzzle we're going to solve today. So here's our game plan for cracking this code. First, we'll look at the technical, kind of nerdy answer. Then we're going to switch gears to a much simpler and, I think, better way to look at it. We'll break down all three sounds with some super easy rules, and then we'll uncover the bigger lesson this whole thing is really about. All right, let's get the official textbook answer out of the way first. It all boils down to two little linguistic terms, voiced and unvoiced consonants. Now, this is the 100% correct explanation, but it can feel a little, academic. So just hang with me for a minute. So what it really comes down to is what your vocal cords are up to. Come on, try this with me. Put your hand on your throat, right here. Now make a long s sound, like a snake. Feel anything? Probably not. That's what we call an unvoiced sound. Now do the same thing, but make a zzz sound, like a bee. Whoa, right? Feel that little vibration? That's a voiced sound. The technical rule is that the ed ending copies whatever came before it, but trying to memorize all of that is a lot. So there's got to be a better way, right? Of course there is. And to find it, we can actually look to the real masters of making complicated things simple, the people who design lessons for kids. They have this amazing framework for teaching pretty much anything. And the strategy? It's beautifully simple. You introduce an idea, you make it stick with a fun example, you give it a clear, simple rule, and then you practice it together. It's so effective, it's engaging, and it's exactly how we're going to finally solve our ED puzzle. Okay, let's put our new simplified system to work. We're going to start with the first of our three sounds, that id sound, like you hear in the word wanted. This one's the easiest. We're going to call this one the T and D rule. It's super simple. If the very last sound of the main verb is a T or a D sound, the ed ending adds a whole new syllable that sounds like id. I mean, think about it. You can't really say wanted or needed. It's clumsy, right? Your mouth actually needs that extra vowel sound just to make it work. And you can see it perfectly right here. Want ends in that T sound, so it becomes wanted. Need ends in a D sound, so it's need-id. Same thing with decide. It ends in that D sound, so it becomes decided. And just like that, rule one is done and dusted. Pretty easy, right? All right, next up is our second sound, that sharp little T you hear in a word like helped. And this is where we're going to trade that technical term unvoiced for something way more intuitive. Let's just call this the quiet consonants rule. Remember that hand on the throat trick we did? Well, these are all those sounds that don't make that little vibration, that buzz. They're quiet. And when a word ends in one of these quiet consonants, the ed that comes after it is also quiet. It's a crisp t sound. Let's try these. Hand back on your throat. Say the end of the word help. P. Ask. K. Wash. Sh. Laugh. F. See? There's no buzz for any of them. These are all quiet sounds. So that ed ending turns into a quiet T sound. It just makes sense. Saying helped with a buzzy D just feels weird. Your brain already knows this stuff. And now for our third and final sound, the D in a word like called. Now, if the last rule was all about quiet consonants, you can probably guess what this one's all about. Yep, you got it. This is the buzzy consonants rule. This one covers all those other sounds, the ones linguists call voiced, the ones that do make your throat vibrate. Oh, and this also includes all vowel sounds because they are all naturally buzzy. So when a word ends with a buzzy sound, the ed ending joins the party with its own buzzy friend, the D sound. Okay, one last test. Hand on your throat. Say call. Feel that l buzz at the end? So it becomes call D. How about love? That v is for sure vibrating. So it's love D. And play. That word ends in a vowel sound, which is always buzzy. So it becomes play D.
See how it just flows?
Okay, quick practice round to put it all together. Just say this sentence out loud. I asked why they called. Can you feel the difference? That quiet K sound in asked, it leads right into that sharp T sound. And that buzzy L sound in called, it leads to that softer D sound. See, you've totally got this.
So, there you have it. We've solved the puzzle. But you know, the reason I find this so cool isn't just about the grammar. It's about a much bigger idea, one that applies to pretty much everything we ever try to learn or teach someone.
And here it is. This is the big takeaway. Sure, voiced versus unvoiced is technically accurate, but it's not all that helpful, is it? But buzzy versus quiet, that might be less technical, but it's memorable, it's intuitive, and it gets you to the right answer every single time. It just proves that true understanding comes from finding the right analogy, the right simple story, not just the most academic terms. This right here is the key. This is what this whole thing is about. It doesn't matter if you're explaining a grammar rule, a business plan, or a science project. Your goal isn't just to be correct. Your goal is to be understood. And to be understood, you have to be memorable. So I'll leave you with a little challenge. What's one complicated thing in your world, could be at work, a hobby, anything, that you could make simple and memorable for somebody else? Thanks for digging into this with me today, and as always, keep on learning.